Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in once again to Queen Amadai TV More Than Meets the Third Eye. I'm your host, Queen QueenAShakur. Okay, so first of all, be sure to like and share this video. Alright, let's see who we have in here. Aboriginal woman, Eileen. Alright, Claudette, Tawana. Okay, let's get into it. Dan, I see you, beloved. Shout out to my moderators putting in work. Mr. Hotel. Okay, Jonah, Shalavitz is here. Curly Girl. All right, so let's go ahead and get this party started. Hey, Desmond. All right, Terry is here. Okay, so with that all been said, let's go ahead and get it started because I have a PowerPoint presentation, and let's keep our fingers crossed that the PowerPoint doesn't crash. If it does, I'll just proceed from my email. All right. So with that all being said, today I'm going to be going over some biblical scriptures and just giving you the esoteric interpretation of those scriptures. Okay? If anybody is confused or has any questions, just let me know in the chat. I'll be checking the chat momentarily. You all know I don't look at it much when I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so with that all being said, let me pull up my chat on my phone just in case this one freezes. Hold on. Okay. Hey, C-Stan, beloved. Myth King the Dean is in the house. All right. Okay, there it is. Okay. Hey, Buckhorse DC. Emperor Rex is in the house. All right, Emperor Rex. I don't know if you heard or saw the broadcast earlier, but so we'll be doing the Jeopardy round tomorrow, okay? We'll be doing the Jeopardy round tomorrow because I messed up and forgot on Friday because you all were doing so poorly that I just forgot to go to the next round. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen and pull up this PowerPoint. Lights up, everybody. Please get the lights up. Thank you in advance. All right, here we go. Make sure you all can see that. Okay. All right, so first and foremost, let's talk about, hey, Yusuf. Nessa G in the house. All right. Okay, so let's talk about Matthew, the 21st chapter, the 12th verse. It says, and Jesus went into the temple of God and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple and overthrew the tables of the money changers and the seats of them that sold doves. All right, so what is the temple of God? What does that actually mean? So let's look at 1 Corinthians, 3rd chapter in the 16th verse. It says, know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you. So in Matthew, the 21st chapter in the 12th verse, Jesus is not going into a church. Okay, it sounds like he's walking into a church, going into a temple, but no. The temple of God is within you. So where was Jesus going? Jesus was going into himself. Okay? He was going on an internal spiritual journey. And how do you do that? Through what? Through meditation. Okay? Through meditation. That's what that means. He wasn't walking into a church or a temple. He was going within himself. When you go on a spiritual journey, that's what you do. You look within yourself to find the truth of yourself, who you are, and to understand your divine connection with the Most High. And you do this through meditation. That's when you can quiet the mind and be at a oneness with the Most High. Now, what is being cast out in our temple within? It is the lower consciousness. Okay? When it says that Jesus went into the temple of God and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple and overthrew the tables of the money changers and the seats of them that sold the doves. What was he casting out? It is the lower consciousness, that part of us which holds us back from our spirituality. You see, we begin to have new desires for spiritual fulfillment and peace. And when we do, the lower desires are a bottomless pit. Okay, these are the things that hold us back, which is referenced in the book of Revelations and refers to our never-ending desires that are associated with the mind. like the 7 deadly sins, like greed, lust, things that tempt us, specifically money, because that's what most people have a desire for. Okay, so ultimately the desire comes from thought, and so when we meditate on the inner light and sound, it casts out thought. The doves symbolize purity. They fly, which translates into reaching or obtaining a higher consciousness, the higher consciousness of man. They are white, which is like symbolic of the virgin mind or the empty mind or no thought. And when are you having this type of experience? When you're meditating. You're trying to remove yourself from all of the chaotic things that you think about, trying to quiet the mind. Now, but in the above verse, we need to consider that the doves are being sold, because it said he cast out all those money changers and those who sold the doves. So Christ overturned the tables of doves. That means spirituality can never be sold for gain. We cannot barter with spirit. Okay? It can only be received. And we need a humility and openness for this. So praying for money, for material gain in society is like selling doves. And Christ wants no part in that process. You see. And so if you wondered why you sit around here and you pray for the lottery, well, that's why it doesn't happen. Because you're not supposed to be praying for material things, right? Now you can manifest material things. That's what you do. There's a difference. You can manifest these things yourself. Okay, let me stop the share for a second. Let's see if anyone has any questions. C-Stan said amen. Okay, I know that's right. All right, so is anyone confused? Is everyone following what I'm talking about? Is everyone following what I'm talking about? Terry Hint says visualize. Right. Okay. All right, so let's go back to the share. Uh-oh. Okay, the PowerPoint's acting crazy. PowerPoint's acting crazy. And so let's go to the email real quick. Let me pull this up on my email. Let me see if I can restart this real quick. All right, here we go. So I'm going to restart the share. Hey, Wavy, though. All right, so where did I leave off? Okay, here we go. Now, in context, Christ's consciousness is coming in and disconnecting us from thought and society and all these attachments and desires. We can now look at further scripture to glean more information about the temple which is in us. And you know, this is nothing new. I told you this numerous of times, right? That the kingdom of God is within you. So 1 Kings 6th chapter and the 7th verse says, and the house, when it was in building, was built of stone, made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was building. Now stone, that's natural, okay? That is something made by God. Stone is natural, made by nature, okay? So that means God, and it is this is made by God, and it's strong, and this represents the higher consciousness, because brick is made of man, right? Brick is a man-made instrument that we use to build things. So it comes out of the lowest part of the earth and represents the lower consciousness. And so, if you're, hold on, let me go back a second. So, and the house, when it was in building, was built of stone, made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was building. So that means while you're getting yourself together, you know, while you're cleaning house, while you're doing your housekeeping, while you're preparing yourself for your spiritual journey, you have to be, the stone is symbolic of you being in your natural state. Okay? Trying to rise into your higher self, because the brick made from mud comes from the lowest part of the earth, which represents the lower consciousness made by man. Everything of brick in the Bible falls apart. Okay? Like the Tower of Babel. If you remember in the Bible, the Tower of Babel was made from brick, and it absolutely crumbled. This is because it represents the lower nature of man, who always lets him down. Okay? The lower self always will let you down. Now, these two are symbolic throughout the Bible. In the above verse, the house or temple was made of stone. However, this house was not built by any tools, and so it was built in silence. And so we build our temple of God within through the silence of meditation. This is how you prepare yourself. Now, 1 Kings, the 6th chapter and the 8th verse says, the door of the middle chamber was in the right side of the house, and they went up with winding stairs into the middle chamber, and out of the middle into the third. The door in the middle chamber on the right side equals the right side or spiritual side of man's brain. The right side of the brain is the spiritual side. Remember, I told you this before. The left side of the brain is for your intellect. Okay? Now, winding stairs, that represents the winding motion of the Kundalini as it travels up the spine, as you can see here in this diagram. Now, into the third, which is the heaven, that stage, the third level of heaven, okay? That is air, where there's spirit, no thought beyond the mind. Now, Hebrews, the 10th chapter, the 19th verse says, having therefore, brethren, boldness to enter into the holiest of the blood of Jesus. The holiest is the middle chamber of the right side in the higher consciousness, which is reached by no thought through meditation. Lucifer. Lucifer means bright star. And the funny thing is, when they talk about Jesus, don't they refer to Jesus as the bright and morning star? Okay? Is that not what they say when they talk about Jesus? But Lucifer means bright star. And it has 5 points. What has 5 points? The star. A star has 5 points. So pay attention to this. This is going to be on your trivia. Now, 5 points representing the 5 senses. And then he fell and became Satan, which means he became an adversary. Okay, his name was Lucifer, meaning bright star, one who is illuminated. And then when he was cast out of heaven, he became Satan. His name was changed because that means the adversary of God. Okay, now the star, the 5 points of the star represents the 5 senses. And then he fell and became Satan. Now, Jesus also had 5 wounds on the cross. He had his hands and his feet. That was 4. And then remember when they pierced him in his side. So those were the 5 wounds. And so his star is raised as he goes beyond the body. Now, as a child, pay attention, we have 5 bones that fuse into one. And those are called the sacrum. Now, if you remember me talking about the Christ within energy and raising the Kundalini energy, I told you about the sacral plexus, the solar plexus, right? And the sacrum sits at the bottom of the spine. It's 5 bones that fuse together. And sacrum means the holy bone or place, which is where the Kundalini resides. And you can see from this diagram right here. Well, actually, you can't see from this one. I'm sorry. Let me get you. You can see from this one right here. It's right down in this area, right? Now, above the sacrum is the solar plexus. The place of the sun is what that is called. And remember, the solar plexus has the same energy as the sun. That's why it's the solar, like the solar energy that the sun gives off. Okay, this is the place of the sun, which is surrounded by 12 sympathetic nerves. So guess what? Your solar plexus is surrounded by 12 sympathetic nerves, just like Jesus was surrounded by 12 disciples, just like the 12 signs of the zodiac, and the same way the 12 disciples surround Jesus. Now, mind you, the 12 signs of the zodiac, what did I tell you about those? Those are constellations. I told you there are 88 constellations. There's 12 of those constellations that fall in the direct path of the sun, and those are the zodiacs. So you have 12 constellations that fall in the direct path of the sun, and then you have a solar plexus, which is known as the place of the sun, which it's surrounded by 12 sympathetic nerves. Do you see the correlation? Do you see the correlation? I hope you do. Okay, so now Genesis, the 24th chapter in the 2nd verse, it says, "And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had, Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh." Now we put our hands, and now see, mind you, when they're saying this back in the biblical days, Put, I pray thee, thy hand over my thigh. You see, back then, they would do that because that's how they would swear. Like they would swear to something, give their word. But see, now we put our hands over our heart and swear. But in the ancient times, they put it over the male's private organ. Okay? The testes. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but look this up, because the male organ, testes is the male organ, and testis means to give witness. And so that's where the word testify comes from. All right, so do you all get the correlation? That's why they would put it over the male's organ back then, because testes was like the origin of the word testify. Now, Matthew, the 21st chapter, the 13th verse says, "And said unto them, It is temple of God, written, My house shall be called the house of prayer, but ye have made it a den of thieves." So back to the original verse, Jesus went into the den of thieves, which is the temple, okay, which is the head. And notice you have temples on either side of your head. Pay attention. These temples, those are literally called temples, right? Your head is the temple. It is full of lower consciousness, which robs us of our spirituality, our lower mind. So this is the den of thieves. You see, this is the den of thieves. Now, it robs us of our spirituality. Our lower mind and emotions distract us and justify anything so that they rule our actions. You know how sometimes people do a bunch of BS and then they try to make nefarious excuses. They try to justify it, by saying something, that really is nonsensical most of the time, but they try to find ways to justify their own nefariousness. That's when you're in the den of thieves, because now you're trying to fool yourself. You're trying to fool others, and that's nothing but your low vibrational energy and your lower consciousness keeping you away from doing the righteous thing and rising into your higher self and reaching your highest level of spirituality. Now, the analogy of thieves and robbers is also seen in the following verse. John, the 10th chapter and the 8th verse. "All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them." And so all that means the church, the government, religion, everybody. Anytime anyone puts anything into our mind, it is robbery, because it is from the carnal mind and not subject to the law of God, as we have seen in this next verse. John, the 10th chapter and the 16th. Okay, it says, "And our sheep, and other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring. And they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd." And so Hebrews, the 3rd chapter and the 6th verse says, "But Christ as a son over his own house, whose house are we, if we hold fast the confidence and the rejoicing of the hope firm until the end?" So whose house are we? Christ's house is our house. So the temple of God is within us as is within Christ. This is why you raise the Christ within energy, okay, which is the same as the Kundalini energy when you rise into your higher self. Now, prayer, in its highest sense, it is the communion with God where we leave thoughts or the mind behind. Prayer can never be done with the mind, and we can see this from the next verse. Romans, the 8th chapter and the 7th verse. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. The following verse describes how Jesus wants to bring everybody to the Father or God regardless of their beliefs. He does not want religion which divides one against the other. Okay, so that's why you've been indoctrinated into religion. Religion is a man-made construct. At the end of the day, religion absolutely does divide people. Most of the wars that we've had have all been, due to religion. Most of them, not all. But at the end of the day, aren't people divided by religion? And many people think their religion is better than others, and this is it's almost like a competition. Okay, now John, the 10th chapter and the 16th verse says, "And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd." The sheep is the followers. Okay, those are the followers. Not of this fold. Buddhist people of other beliefs and faiths. Not of this fold. So that means they're not of your religion. One fold. Unity of all those who reach higher consciousness where individuality is dissolved. One shepherd. All see the one reality of divinity. When you all are at one understanding. Matthew, the 21st chapter, the 14th verse says, "And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them." Blind and lame is metaphorical. It's a metaphorical description of those who are blind to the light of Christ or higher consciousness in the temple or the third eye within. The lame can walk a different type of life connected to the spirit within. Meaning that when you become a spiritual person, you rise into your higher self, you walk different because you're on a different path. You're on a whole nother journey. Okay? Wavy though says the source energy is lost in religion. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so with that all being said, now I want you all to see this video where this man is giving his thoughts on spirituality. Terry Hinn says spiritual path. Absolutely. So when you're on your spiritual path, you will walk different. Because before, you may have been bogged down with low vibrational energies. You may have been pessimistic. You may have been easily tempted. But once you become a more spiritual person, you start to discipline yourself, and you start to be more conscious and aware of the things that you're doing that are not of your best interest and that are not of the Most High and that are not a part of your spiritual journey. And you even start to leave people by the wayside. People who are not beneficial to your journey, people who are maybe not understanding, or people who are trying to discourage you and things like that. You start to leave those people behind because you're on a different journey now. So you're going to walk different. Now I'm going to share this screen so you all can see this video. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
The reason why spirituality is important is because it is reality. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Who I am and what I am is not my body. It's not even my personality. It's not the trauma I suffered. It's not what I've been through. That there is a little spark of the divine inside of me. There's hard data that shows around mental health and well-being that having serenity, meaning, purpose, a losing of oneself to a transcendent self of the divine increases greatly the quality of our lives. We're a part of something much greater and much more beautiful than ourselves. And in living in that state can greatly enrich your life.
Now pay attention to what he said. Living in that state can greatly enrich your life. Absolutely true. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast, but I want to tell those of you who are members that I'm going to be posting a guided meditation video for you shortly. So please look for that. I'll send you the link through your emails. Okay, that's for the members only. With that all being said, tomorrow we will be back on here, and we will be having the Jeopardy round. Okay, because we didn't have it on Friday, so just keep that in mind. All right, so with that all being said, I hope everyone got something out of this. I hope you were paying attention. Mr. Hotel said, thank you, Queen. You're welcome, beloved. Terry Hen says, Queen taught us we have the God gene. Absolutely. All right. And also that God's name is literally written in your DNA. Remember that video? If you missed that, well, please go back and look. Okay, please go back and make sure you watch that. Nessa G said, this was so informative, I have to listen to it again. Thank you, Queen. You're absolutely welcome. Sandy said, thank you for another uplifting and educational broadcast. You're welcome, beloved. All right, so everyone enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. I will see you all in the morning for your morning wake-up call, and then we'll be back on here tomorrow evening, okay? And so everyone, I wish you all love, peace, and prosperity. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.